If you've ever been curious why an astronaut is our logo, our dream is to one day hopefully travel into space and view our world from outside itself. But now is not the time to be focused on a future beyond the stars. We've been forced to disconnect in an unprecedented way. And with the future so uncertain, we're reconnecting with our friends and our community to see how they're dealing with the now. Helmets off. All right, so why don't we get rolling here? So the way that we've been doing this is starting up with an introduction as we do. So tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so formal. I love it. My name's Kate Colussy. I own Highway Robbery Vintage. It's a vintage store in the South Side on East Carson Street for men's and women's clothing.
Right on. Well, before we dive into things like the serious stuff, if you had to quickly describe what you specialize in, what would that be? Like, what would your store's tagline be?
I usually say it's 1950s to 1990s, although now we do early 2000s stuff too. Just like casual wearables for men and women that you can mix with current wardrobe pieces from other places. That's typically what I say.
Perfect. Well, I actually felt it was pretty appropriate to wear.
Oh, hey, nice.
So I'm rocking official Highway Robbery Vintage gear right now.
That's a good.
So I'm definitely in uniform for this.
Hey, me too.
So getting into it, so I'm obviously familiar with your shop, but for the people watching, with the government safety mandates, have you been able to operate your business at all?
We're doing what we can online, but as far as any in-store business, we're just not doing it. We're not supposed to be open in any public capacity. So we're not, like we're allowing people to come and pick up orders, like if you're local, but we're not even doing that. So just online shipping, buying things online and having them shipped to your house. That's pretty much it.
And you obviously sell more than just clothes, like there's accessories and whatnot in there. Have you pared it down to be focusing on anything in particular?
We're trying to do little like collections every time we post that kind of have a theme or have a connective thread. Just, it's better for us like creatively not to just like throw a bunch of stuff online. And I think it's just more pleasant to look at. And then we're doing some accessories, but like nothing super crazy. It's not like what we specialize in, and like we're trying some new things now, but overall we're trying to like stick with what we know, just trying to keep the flow going as best we can.
Right. And obviously, like, not for nothing, if there's a time to experiment, I guess now would be the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But obviously, I've watched your online presence grow and develop over the years. For people just getting started or for businesses pivoting harder to their e-commerce game, do you have any tips or advice based on the hurdles you've faced in the past?
It's definitely a process, and we've done like a million iterations of, we were on Etsy and then we moved to our own website, and that took years just to build up, that it was worthwhile to lose out on that Etsy traffic to be on our own website. I mean, for me, that took years. And then also just like figuring out, is it quality over quantity, or do we just want to put as much stuff up as possible? And there are certain things that sell in store really well and certain things that sell online really well. And it's not always the same things. Sometimes it is. Some things are like just great sellers online or in store, but it just takes a lot of trial and error to learn these things and find these things out. But now, like you said, now is a good time to experiment with those things, and we're kind of forced to experiment with those things. Maybe there's things that we weren't typically putting online and we are now, just to see how it goes, because why not? So
Right. It's not like there's a whole lot of other options.
right. And especially things that are more seasonal items, like those need to go. Like it's not, spring is not stopping, summer is not stopping coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things still have to move in a sense of like what people want to wear. If we don't get out of this till June, people aren't going to want to go back and buy something that feels very early spring or something. You know what I mean? So we have to like just keep it moving on what our intentions were for this time of year regardless.
Yeah, and speaking of time and time frames, like now with schools canceled indefinitely, people seem to be shying away from their optimistic forecasts when it comes
Yeah.
to the length of this shutdown.
Yeah.
That being said, are there any parts of the government stimulus package that you're considering taking advantage of?
I mean, we've applied for things. Like I watched your interview with Becca from Heart of Glass, and it's the same. Like you just don't know. We haven't heard anything, which kind of jumbles things even more, because for me it's like, okay, well, if I get the $10,000, then that might change what else I need. But I need to know if I got that before I apply for this. But if I don't apply for this now, like payroll protection, for example, or like a small business loan or something, like if I don't apply for it now, then it'll become too late. And then what if I never got the 10,000? You know what I mean? So it's really hard because it's everything has to be in some kind of order. But like nothing's happening. And I understand they have millions of things to go through, but it's really hard, like on my end, to know what's next if like step one hasn't fully happened. How do I know what step two even is?
Right.
So, but we applied for the 10,000 when that first came out. Um, I'm working on applying for the payroll protection thing. Um, I'm not sure what lender I want to use. Yeah, it's not as simple as people might think. There's
Oh, of
all,
course.
all the SBA does is say like, okay, hey, every lender around you, we got this person's application. Any of you guys want to pick up this loan? You know what I mean? So sometimes it's better to try and work with banks or lenders or credit unions, or you can now. I just got an email today that potentially through Square, like our POS system that
Yeah.
processes our credit cards, now they might be able to do the loan. That's
Oh,
like
right on.
a thing as of today. So like maybe I should go through them because I already do a lot of business through them, and they already have them. They do my payroll. They already have all my credentials. Like, you know what I mean? So there's just like a lot to think about. Or do I go through PNC? Like, so it's just like, it's a lot to think about. But we applied for the 10. Will we get it? I don't know. We seem to be very qualified in that, but who's to say? I mean, I heard it was like the first million people or something. I mean, it's like the Hunger Games or something. You know, I don't know if I was the first million people, but whatever. We'll see. We're gonna try for payroll protection. We're gonna try for the 10.
Right on. Well, I mean, so navigating a government relief package is obviously something that you didn't think of whenever you were starting a company. Now that you're going through all that, is anybody helping you?
I am fortunate to have a very good accountant um, who has been awesome and really knowledgeable. I mean, she's just, every time a new thing comes out, she's like read everything on it. She's been really cool. And then just talking to other people that own small businesses, like, hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like, they're telling me, well, my situation is this, and then I'm thinking, well, mine is this, and that's kind of similar. Like, that helps too. And
Yeah.
just making sure that the information that I've interpreted from what I've read is correct. It's good to bounce it off of people for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing that you have somebody that you can that like is already filtering through all this for you.
Yeah, it's one of those times that like obviously none of us have the money to pay a professional, but you know,
Right.
if it comes down to like a loan situation, like it's worth a couple bucks to do if you're able.
Well, since your online store is pretty active now and is basically your main focus, I would assume you appear to be in pretty constant contact with your patrons and your employees. How many employees do you have now?
We have one full-time employee and one part-time employee. And
I mean, that kind of makes things a little bit more simple, but has communication slowed down between you guys at all?
no, because they're still working as much as they can, as far as like listing product and editing photos and stuff like that, preparing shipments and stuff. So they're still doing like as much as they can. And I'm lucky that I'm still able to payroll them. I fear for them that even if they were to apply for unemployment at this point, it's like really hard to do that from everything I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but people saying that they can't get through, that they've tried. I've heard stories that there was somebody that tried 400 times in a day and didn't get through or something like that. Like that's just absolutely crazy. But since you have a pretty solid line of communication with them, how are they dealing with everything?
I think they're doing pretty well overall. I mean, they're the type of people that they want to do stuff. Like they feel better working and keeping busy, and so this is better for them, like working and doing online stuff is good for them. I think overall they're doing pretty well. It's a big shift from their daily routines and what is supposed to be their job description. This is completely different than what they signed up for. Completely different. I mean, they might do some online stuff during, it's a part of their day, but it's not their whole day. Like, so I'm grateful that they've stuck around because it is a lot to ask of people. They didn't sign up for this, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not for nothing, literally everybody is making this giant like pivot and trying to refocus in whatever aspect they can.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at like this right now. Like I'm used to having Sunday dinners with you, and I'm used to being able to deliver a shamrock shake to you, and I have to talk to you now through Zoom.
I know.
Like how ridiculous.
It is.
Uh,
And like I do believe though it's important to try and keep the flow happening as much as humanly possible, and like for us to keep at least our like Instagram and website going is a positive thing. And I hate to like it took like a long time to rebuild momentum after we moved from the old store to this store. Like I don't want to lose momentum. So to like keep them on payroll and keep myself working and stuff is doubly good to me because it keeps the momentum going, and obviously it keeps us working, which is good.
yeah, for sure. So to kind of take a turn here a little bit, we're going to move a little bit away from the business so much and just start focusing on you a little bit. Um, you obviously wear all the hats: parent, sibling, friend, spouse, child. And like, this is just a bonkers way to exist. So you as a human, like, how are you doing in like this, I would call it stagnant chaos?
Yeah, that's a good term. That's a hashtag. Um, well, I was staying home taking care of Sunny the majority of the week anyways. So for me, like I'm trying to maintain his routine as much as possible. I'm not a super regimented person but just I don't want him to be stressed or anything like that. So like our routine during the week is actually kind of similar. I go to the store and work 2 days during the week, um, which and he goes to stay with relatives, but so he's not doing that. But it's it's different. It's different to just not be able to go. I'm a person that really enjoys their freedom. And when you have a kid, then you lose a lot of that. So when your only sense of freedom is like going to Target or like, and you can't do that anymore, that's hard. But I mean, you know, it, to me, like, this will pass. You know what I mean? And actually, compared to the last time I was closed for no reason for weeks on end, that like I couldn't work, this is actually not as bad.
What was the building
For the
condemning?
stores condemned, yeah, this is actually not as bad. Versus, probably because I'm not pregnant, that definitely helps the cause a lot. But
I totally forgot about that. That
yeah,
was a very interesting thing to happen to a pregnant person.
yeah, and I was very emo and at that time too. So now I feel like I'm a little bit actually better mentally, and I'm like, oh, if I made it through that the first time, you know, I was closed, and our online wasn't as developed as it then as it is now. So now I actually have a better situation than I did that time, and my hormones are at a more normal place now, and I'm seeing more of Matt. He's been home more, which is cool. We're, you know, spend some more time. He can spend some more time with Sonny. So I'm actually, I already done this.
Uh,
I try and remind myself of that. Like, I've made it through this before. That was only a couple years ago. Like, I can do it.
yeah, certainly a version of it. I wouldn't exactly call it the same, but
Oh, this is way worse and way scarier. But I'm trying not to think about it that way.
right. And on a little less heavy note, have you been able to do anything like fun with your time, learning anything new, getting back to something like you haven't had time for in a while?
Pretty much just 24/7 childcare. I'm being honest.
Just
I
wearing
mean,
that mom hat a lot.
yeah, I mean, there's really no one else to wear it. Matt and I are just 24/7 childcare for the most part. But you know what we have been doing is like listening to old albums that we haven't listened to in a long time, just like around the house. But you know, we're just from like more simpler times, like when you were in high school or when you were in
Yeah.
like a college. We put on like Jack's Mannequin, Everything in Transit the other day. Oh,
I swear to God, I just listened to that like a week ago.
didn't it feel so good?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Which is why I ended up sending that picture to Matt of his all of his old albums.
oh. See, like revisiting the simpler times has been a nice little theme in here.
I like that. There's some I don't know, there's like something beautiful about that, just like, all right, this is crazy.
Hmm.
Let's go back to where we like let our mindsets, let's take it back to like where we really loved it, like where the good feels definitely were.
Oh yeah, and obviously I'm a very nostalgia means a lot to me as a person, and so that just like puts me in a good place. You know, like thinking about that kind of stuff, or like I don't know, like tell someone a story from like when you were a little kid or something. You know what I mean? It's just like it's good. It's mood balancing.
Yeah, yeah. Um well, kind of moving on just a little bit. I feel like everybody knows people getting hit really hard by this,
Yeah.
and also like some people that are like extraordinarily rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you want to like shout out or send a little love to, or just like tell people like send a little attention their way?
Yeah. Well, I think all the restaurants, and I'm not going to like name them off one by one, but that are doing meals for healthcare workers, I think that's really cool. They have people who work in hospitals. It's very stressful for them right now. They just never know what's going to walk through the door. It's scary, probably regardless most of the time. This is bad. Also, we put on I put on our stories on Instagram today. Um, just shout out to people I know that I follow or that I know personally that are making masks and just and giving them to people that need
Yeah.
them. I mean, I think that's a very selfless thing. You know, sewing is not something that everyone can do. So if you have that as a skill, I'm going to start doing it too. I think it's really good, and those people deserve shout outs too. And a lot of those people are small business people. that have no income coming in and are sitting there making masks for free to give to people for free. You know, like that's a selfless act. So yeah, I put that on our stories today, and I'm sure it'll be archived or whatever. But I don't know. I think that's a nice thing. And if you see someone's doing that, like give them a nice little comment, say thank you and good job and whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, I sometimes wonder if people lose sight of the fact that like we're all inside because we're trying to protect each other.
Right.
And like that just goes right alongside of it. They're just taking that extra step to like that we're all trying to do what's good for everybody.
Right.
So like, yeah, you got to tip your hat to people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a solidarity thing in a sense. You know, like if we all do this and we all wear a mask when we go to the grocery store, it'll be better for everybody. Or, you know, and they're making that possible for people. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we ultimately want to use this as a way for people to connect while we're forced to isolate.
Mhm.
So before we wrap, is there anything you want to ask the people watching? And it can be literally anything. Becca asked for scary movie suggestions.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely not going to ask for that. Um, hmm, that's a tough one. Um, Probably at this point, activities for a 1.5-year-old. I feel like he's so bored of everything I say and do, and the the watching TV has, I feel like, already overtaken our lives. And so anybody out there that has a child or is a teacher or preschool teacher, child development, but if they have any suggestions, like, hey, maybe do this. I don't have any other kids. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been stuck in my house with a kid for a month. So yeah, any fun suggestions on stuff like that would be good. Yeah.
Okay, everybody watching, put those in the comments. Answer her question, tag her, put it in the comments, let her know what to do with her young child to keep them occupied and all this.
Yeah.
And lastly, this will help. Tell people where they can reach you, your website, your social media, etc.
So the website is highwayrobberyvintage.com. Instagram's Highway Robbery Vintage. We're not really active on Facebook. I wouldn't bother with that. If you have questions directly to me or anything like that, it's Kate at highwayrobberyvintage.com. And yeah, I'd say Instagram is something that we're on a lot. And I obviously check my email a lot. And yeah, any of those things. There's a contact form on our website, but we're updating that all the time. So we're trying to stay really active, and any of those ways are good ways.
Perfect. Well, Kate, thank you for taking off the mom hat for just a little bit for me and doing this. I miss you guys. I love you. Give Honey, give Sonny a big hug for me, and hug your husband for me as well. I hope I get to see you guys really soon.
Yeah, Uncle Reb says hi. I'll tell him. Do you want to say bye to Pierre?
Oh, see ya, peeps. See ya, bud.
Bye.
All right.
Well, hopefully you can come over soon for dinner.
Yeah. Yes. Let's plan on that sometime soon.
Yeah.
Ish, if we can.
When we're allowed, we'll do it the next day.
All right. Done deal.
Unless you have a cough or something, then you're not allowed in my house.
All right.